Hey guys, today we are going to be talking about tessellations. I'm going to show you how to make a basic tessellation. I have this piece of paper is cardstock. It's pretty rigid. It's tough. And it is, I believe I cut this 4x4. Smaller would be good. If you don't have cardstock that you can cut down into a nice square, you could use just sticky notes would be fine. But let's get started. Okay, so you're going to draw a shape on two of the sides. I'm going to pick these two sides right here, and then after we draw those shapes, we're going to cut them out and we're going to tape them on the opposite side, and they have to line up perfectly with the cutout side. And you'll see that that might be a thing that I can show you better than I can explain to you. You need a space before you start your shape. Also, you don't want skinny little designs. Like if you have, I'll flip this over. This would be a terrible example. If you came in from the side, that's a big no-no. And you had very tiny little designs like this. This won't work. And it's lined up exactly with the corners. That's not going to work out. So let me show you. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to use these two sides. I'm going to use about a finger space. Make a mark. I'm going to come over here, about a finger space. All right, so now I have this area to work in. I'm going to have some shapes coming out, but I'm going to keep mine fairly large. I might just start with a wavy line, maybe like that. Okay, now I'm going to come in over here, about a finger space, You need to not go directly to the corner so that this corner is still intact, because we're going to do some cutting in a little while. Okay, let's see. There we go. That might be as skinny as you could possibly go, and that might have been a little thin. Okay, so let me show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to cut this out. And let's do this. Before we get it cut all the way out, let's draw a star. That way we know that that star, once we cut it out and we tape it down, that star needs to be up and we don't get mixed up. Okay, star's up. All right, so we're going to cut this thing out. And I just cut random shapes. Tessellations can be cut to look like human faces, all kinds of different things. The better you get at it, the more you get used to it. It be just, the world is your oyster. You can come up with all kinds of ideas. All right, my friends. I do a lot of turning with my hand, and when I'm cutting, I open my scissors all the way up, and I never close my scissors all the way. I usually just use that part, and then I do the moving with my opposite hand. There you go. It just works a lot better. Okay. Now the bad thing about this paper that I'm using is if you fold it, it's going to start creating rips. So if you have some paper that folds fairly easy and doesn't rip, then here is a trick. You want to line this up exactly opposite of that. You don't want it over here or over here. You want it to line up perfectly. And here's a tip, a trick to make that work. You can take one of the sides, fold it over, and then line it up with the other side. Try not to fold it too much right there, because like I said, this paper that I have would tear. And then you're going to take and you're going to tape it down right there. I'm going to make sure it lines up with that mark that I've made. I'm going to make sure that star is up, because if I accidentally flipped it over, then that means they wouldn't line up. This whole thing would be thrown off. Okay, so I have regular Scotch tape. It's kind of thin tape that you would find in a schoolroom. I'm going to line that up. Take this guy down. Be still. Please be still. All right, here we go. Come on. There you go. All right. Okay. I'll tape it down a little bit better in a minute. Now, if you get concerned that you're going to possibly tear your paper, here is an alternative to bending it, because that is a possibility. You could get a ruler, or you could get another piece of paper, and what you need is a straight edge. So if you see this came out like that. So what I need is to have that mark right over there. So I can take this piece of paper, I can line it up with that corner, make sure, kind of moved on me. Make sure the space is the same here and here. And take a look, that looks even. Okay, and then you make a little more. And that should work too. I think the folding would probably work better, but in this case, you won't be tearing your paper. All right, so then we're gonna take it, make sure it's star side up, line it up like this. Get your piece of tape. Tape him down. All right. There's another piece of tape. Okay. There. Maybe even flip it over. That way it's as rigid, stiff as you could possibly get it. Because we're going to be moving this guy around. As you work, be careful with this little edge if you have any small pieces, because it's a little flimsy. Now, here's a trick. You're going to be moving this around, and it's going to want to slide around on you. So you can take a piece of tape and roll him up. Okay? And then put that on the underside. I have so many small pieces on mine. I think I want one more. That little skinny piece is going to flop up. I just know it. So I'm going to roll that up. Doinky doinky. Oh, I got to roll it up really thin, because that is a skinny piece. It's another good reason to keep your shapes big. Okay, now you're going to take your two ends. We'll go to the edge of the paper. I'm going to put it down. Anywhere near the center would be fine. All right, and then now we're going to use it like a tracer. Tessellations, if you'll start looking around, you'll see them in tile designs. This art style has been around for thousands of years. You'll see it in the Roman ruins. Even though I use that tape, I follow around with my finger, and it seems like I got kind of thin with my design, and these little skinny pieces that are sticking out will tend to kind of plop up, and it's easy to get your marker all off. I always kind of tilt my marker towards my design, because if I go out, it's more likely to end up with stray marks. And as you notice, when I got to these bigger pieces I drew, it's a lot easier to trace. All this skinny stuff, I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, now we're gonna pick it up. Okay, now this is just gonna be like a puzzle. We're just gonna go along, plug that in. Now that I'm looking at it, that almost looks like a human head, huh? Now, as you go along, it's really easy to get off, and if you do, just kind of fix it with your marker and make it line up. But you want these to fit together like a puzzle, but we can fudge it a little with our marker and make it work, right? Alrighty, oh, here's my trouble area. Hold it down. Again, notice I'm following with my opposite hand. Okay. Okay, now I am just going to keep plugging along. Let's see, I got, there we go. All right, when you get to the edge of the paper and the design goes off the paper, don't worry about that. Just stop at the edge of the paper, and the person looking at this will just know that, hey, I don't see it, but it's insinuated that it continues. To insinuate something is like saying or doing something without directly saying it or doing it. We are going to insinuate that these lines just keep on going. All right, I'm gonna plug that in, comb across. All right, when I get this line done, I'm going to plug one in here, and then I'm going to put this on fast forward, because I imagine by now you guys are definitely getting the idea. When we color this, the simplest way is to just get some solid colors and maybe create a pattern. You could really get crazy and just have every other one a different color. You could draw a face in each one. That might get a little difficult if you want to keep everything symmetrical. This also looks like a wolf. You could have like eyes here. You could have patterns. You could have like circle, line, line. I mean, anything you could imagine you can put into this for your coloring. I'm gonna plug this in. This should be my last one for my bottom row. Okay. And okay. And then art friends, one more, bear with me. I would just fit it in somewhere. Come up in above it. And then we would just keep going. In my next little portion of this video, it's going to be fast dubbed. And you will see the rest of the video. I'm also going to take a photograph of the tessellation that I've colored so you can maybe get some ideas. All right, guys. I'm going to cut this video and then we will fast forward.